Alright, so Pokemon Journeys will resume airing tomorrow in a new time slot, which means that'll be changing when I do my reviews. But for now I want to do a quick set of my thoughts on the series as a whole to this point. I usually review episode by episode without much thought of the series as a whole. So a huge point I have to address immediately is the structure of the show. Due to the time slot they had, they set out to make the show more episodic so people could just jump in wherever in case they couldn't watch. Big arcs were also put on the table, and any two-parters had to also be self-contained enough. But I don't think we'd really have any big arcs this early on. I feel like that really hurt the potential of some of the episodes, such as the deeper exploration of Ash's loss to B. Meanwhile, the previous series has at least some momentum towards something. It feels like things just sort of happen here. An example of this would be the Battle Fest in Kalos. Yeah, it's great to have it be back in Kalos, but why not get some proper build up to it? Go could ask Ash how the training is going for it a few episodes before they actually go, and actually get some excitement built up within the show for it rather than just a preview only. As mentioned, I also found the stories that do get a chance to be longer running to be underwhelming sometimes. Ash vs B just sort of happened, and this episode's just unrelated to its story leading into a rematch, with really only the Flygon episode elaborating on it further. The odd bit was that the episode before it was just a random episode about Ash helping Go get a Pikachu with nothing related to the B loss. With the announcement of the 4-part Darkest Day arc, I have high hopes that Journeys will have a chance to do better in terms of structure in its new time slot. As it stands, I'm just not a huge fan. To contrast that bit of negativity, let's talk about something I really love, the second protagonist, Go. A huge aspect of some great companions in the past, such as Dawn and May, were how they started as noobs and they grew and grew throughout the series, learning from Ash, and they absolutely play with that here. His and Ash's chemistry is actually my favourite since Ash and Dawn's, and while it's a little early to say that he's surpassed her, I think he's going to be a very high-ranked companion for me by the time the series ends. He's a really well-written character who I find very relatable, but still dripping us with his backstory. You can understand why he may have acted certain ways throughout the series before, because of his past experiences. And even when you think he might have overcome his lack of trust in other people, for example, he still struggles to accept people being outright friendly, which is very realistic. Ash's magnetic personality, of course, got through to him, which led them to getting to see the beauty of the world and expand Go's horizons. Go's goal is admittedly one of his weaker aspects, as seeing him get Pokemon can get repetitive at times. But the way he interacts with his Pokemon by making sure that they're taken care of in the park, or bringing some along on their journeys, it's nice to see that they're more than just a mark on a checklist for him. At many points, Ash will tutor Go, like telling Go that he and Scorbunny weren't one, or telling Go to consider how Reboot felt when trying to leave it in Hoenn, which leads to Go's immediate regret. Constantly getting amazed by Ash just being Ash in battles too, and leading him to be able to help Ash to get over a slump by using what he's learnt from Ash. It's great stuff, and it really highlights Go's increase in maturity as a trainer. So I talked about one of the protagonists, but what about our main man Ash? I think he's pretty solid here for the most part. I feel like there are points where he goes out of character hard, like ignoring Pikachu's desire to train in episode 30, or throwing out one combat style because it didn't work one time, leading to more defeats until he has to be reminded that he can still work with what he's been training for by Go. He really does shine as a mentor for Go. With May and Dawn, he had great moments, kind of like tutoring them, but those series also introduced Brock back a bit way too quick, so there wasn't really a chance for Ash to be the sole mentor. Here he teaches Go about the wonders of Pokemon battling, and what it means to be a trainer. That's fantastic. Ash is a champion now. He can impart all the wisdom he's learned without the help of someone else. Not to mention he has a fantastic goal. If Ash took on gyms again, Galar would be the best region for it, but he still took a more creative approach here, which gets him battling other people a lot more than he usually would. But it also adds a lot of stakes to the matches now, just beyond winning and losing. Now, I hate that he dropped out of the class and they didn't show him going back up to it, that's just bad writing, but the initial dropout showed that the World Championships will be a lot tougher than expected. Ash needed that reality check. I like Ash a lot in this series, he just feels a lot more inconsistent than Go is written, so it just leads to me liking Go a bit more in this series. I also quickly touch on their main Pokemon. Dragonite is great. I love its personality, and who could forget the excitement of its capture? It's just a big lovable goofball that turns absolutely ferocious in battle. I love watching it so much. Gengar seemed downright sinister at first, which was pretty cool, to be honest. But given its great capture episode, it really lets us understand why, as it had obviously been abandoned. Getting that gym episode soon after also cemented it as a tough Pokemon. And one I definitely want to see more of. I don't like Farfetch'd. I'm sorry, it's done nothing but lose and has a really dull personality. I know people like it, and I want to like it, but it hasn't wowed me in any way whatsoever. The fact that Dragonite got the ruins, Gengar got the gym, and all Farfetch'd had his L's immediately after its catch, it's so disappointing. So hopefully it will get better later, but for now, don't like it. Feels like a bit of a waste. Riolu is obviously the star of Ash's team this time around. It had an excuse to be weaker since it was a baby, but its growth has been real great to see. Riolu gets the most consistent on-screen training, and it pays off as it actually does get stronger. Also, I love the fact that it acted hard as first, but it's still just a huge softie, and it just buckles down when it needs to. It's a great Pokemon for Ash, and I'm very excited for its future. Raboot is great. Like, bonding with Go and getting him to change his goal basically made them feel destined to become partners. Scorbunny's peppy personality was so delightful, and it contrasts hard with its evolution, which was used as a really good plot device to help Go develop further as a trainer. Through Raboot, Go grows, and through Go, Raboot grows. I love the idea of Raboot being a teen stage and will eventually reach Cinderace, which will kind of be a combination of Scorbunny and Raboot. They have a long way to go for sure, since they can't really touch any other trainer yet, but since their time at the Battle Frontier to jumping off Draco Meteors against Flygon, they're learning a lot. Sobble also works as a great reflection of Go. Initially I felt that Ash should have got it since it's becoming more confident with Ash, and that could have been a good arc, but honestly, now it's making so much sense with Go too. As Kukui told Go, Sobble really trusts him. He might still be weak, but it doesn't flee from trouble because Go believes in it. Plus there's the whole angle of Raboot being Sobble's big brother, and I wondered why Sobble hung out with Go so much beyond being the marketable Gallus starter, but they made it work. It's attached to Raboot, and they show us it without really needing to tell us. I'm obviously not going to go into much detail for the rest of Go's Pokemon because he has millions, but I like that he finds uses for them, and he actively takes care of them to make sure they're happy. His Cypher is probably his most standout Pokemon aside from the Gallus starters. It has a fun and prideful personality, and I really want to see him use it more, since you know what? Sizzle will fit with Go's design very well. Right, on to something more negative then. Team Rocket. You might know what my complaint is. The Gacha Machine. They really sacrificed the wonderful relationships Team Rocket have with their Pokemon for the sake of a marketing gimmick. If Sakuragi gave Ash a Gacha Machine and Ash used a random assortment of Pokemon each episode, and the only Pokemon he could keep was Pikachu, people would be livid. For me, same case with Team Rocket. As you may or may not know, I'm rewatching Diamond and Pearl right now. Seeing moments like Dustox and Cacnea's releases, Carnivine biting down on James, Jessie succeeding legitimately with her Pokemon, or anything to do with Mime Jr., it really hurts seeing Journeys treat Team Rocket so poorly by not letting them own anything. Shootle could have been great, but it's vanished for over 20 episodes now, so I've given up hope on that. Morpeko not actually being caught is great, and it hurts I have to say that. It's basically the anti-Beware, and I pray it shows up more since it's the closest thing to a Team Rocket Pokemon we'll get. The whole situation with them could have been remedied if they got Ditto, if they really had to be the victims of showing off every Pokemon, but unfortunately they didn't, which leads to the next part. The Team Rocket episodes are great, I love both of them. I think it does a really good job in characterizing the trio, particularly Jessie in the Ditto episodes, since she can relate to it and she wants to help it out. It's not like they tried to steal it in the first place anyway. Of course it's very bittersweet given that Ditto could have fixed a lot of issues I have with them in this series, since it can be used to show off every Pokemon by having Ditto transform into it. But Jessie putting Ditto's dreams ahead was nice. It actually kind of reminded me of a Dustox release episode, since she had a chance to live vicariously through it, and making sure that it had the life that she wanted. The Sinnoh episode really showed off their underhanded side, as obviously they want to undermine Matori, and they work quite nicely with Ash and Go. It was just an all-around good episode, me lads. I'm also not being salty, but also how funny is it that in both Team Rocket episodes, they exclude the Gacha Machine. Otherwise, Team Rocket in other episodes just really feel like standard fare. So moving on to something I'd actually like to praise, the continuity. While it hasn't made the fullest extent it could so far, that's fine. The series is establishing itself in its first year, and even then, it's not too shabby how much continuity we get for stuff like locations, deep cut references like Lance being a Pokemon G-Man, the Ash vs Chuck battle being shown, the Karina Gym battle reference, or the whole Alola episode. It's amazing how much we have for only 39 episodes in, especially when some series have been pretty barren for continuity. Also the music. I do wish we got some new remixes of classic tunes to suit the region we're in, so like say the Hoenn Wild Pokemon battle theme in the Hoenn region. That'd be nice. But you know what? Yuki Hayashi is such a great composer, and all his music is fantastic. I definitely like his remix of the Galar Wild battle theme the most. Another highlight is the Gym Leader theme, because my god it's good. And for a fully original theme, the Lugia raid theme is a huge hit for me. But it's really nice we get some Miyazaki music too, like in the Karina and Alola episodes. And before my final thoughts, something that I really want them to work on is the Dynamax battles, because they are just so boring at the moment. I don't hate Dynamax in their games and stuff, but Pokemon just feel so static in the anime. Lance vs Leon was so exciting until the Dynamax. Then it's just big creatures in place firing off big moves. They can do better, and then the rest of the battles really aren't even worth mentioning. So overall, I find myself being decently positive to the series as a whole. The lack of a more cohesive structure makes it harder to evaluate as a collective, but I really do hope that gets more structure moving into a new time slot. This is a series that's easier to think about on an episode-by-episode basis, kind of by their own design due to the time slot, and some issues may be fixed in the new slot, like the episodic nature. Some probably won't, like Poor Team Rocket. I definitely don't find this series as good as, like, Diamond and Pearl, XY, Sun and Moon, or even the Battle Frontier so far, so I'm hoping it picks up a lot from now on.